The word democracy echoes with an almost sacred resonance in our time. It is a word uttered with reverence, a talisman invoked to justify actions and silence dissent. But what of its true meaning? Like a coin worn smooth from countless greedy hands, the word itself has become detached from its original value. It is wielded now as a tool of manipulation, a rallying cry for agendas that bear little resemblance to the genuine spirit of democracy. This distortion, this subtle twisting of a noble ideal, is a danger we must confront. The misuse of the word democracy often begins with a seemingly innocuous proposition. The notion that all opinions are equally valid. While it is true that everyone has the right to their own perspective, it is a fallacy to suggest that all perspectives are equally informed, insightful, or conducive to a healthy society. To pretend otherwise is to abandon critical thinking and embrace a dangerous relativism. This is the first and most crucial step in the erosion of true democracy. When we elevate ignorance to the same level as knowledge, mediocrity to the same level as excellence, we pave the way for a society incapable of discerning truth from falsehood, beauty from ugliness, or right from wrong. This is the insidious power of democracy as an incantation, a word divorced from meaning and employed solely for its emotional resonance. It is a siren song, alluring and seductive, but ultimately leading to shipwreck on the shoals of ignorance and conformity. Let us not be deceived by the false prophets of democracy who preach a gospel of uncritical acceptance and the leveling of all distinctions. True democracy thrives on the vigorous exchange of ideas, the pursuit of excellence, and the courage to engage in reasoned debate. It is a system that demands our active participation, our critical thinking, and our unwavering commitment to truth, even when it is uncomfortable or unpopular. Let us reclaim the word democracy from those who would use it to lull us into a state of complacent mediocrity. Let us remember its true meaning and strive to create a society where it can flourish in its fullness. The insidious phrase, "I'm as good as you," often masks a deeper, more corrosive sentiment. It is not, as some might suggest, a declaration of genuine equality, but rather a thinly veiled expression of resentment and a desire to tear down anything perceived as superior. This resentment, this gnawing envy, finds fertile ground in the hearts of those unwilling to put in the effort required to achieve excellence. It is far easier, you see, to demand that the bar be lowered than it is to strive to reach it. This is the seductive appeal of false equality. It promises a shortcut to self-worth, a way to feel validated without having to earn it. But like all shortcuts, it leads us astray, away from the path of genuine achievement and into a quagmire of mediocrity. The relentless pursuit of equality of outcome rather than equality of opportunity is a recipe for disaster. When we strive to ensure that everyone finishes the race at the same time, regardless of effort or ability, we strip away the very incentives that drive progress and innovation. We create a culture of entitlement where mediocrity is not only accepted but celebrated as a virtue. This is not to say that we should abandon the pursuit of a more just and equitable society, far from it, but true justice lies in ensuring that everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed, not in guaranteeing that everyone will achieve the same outcome regardless of their efforts. To believe otherwise is to embrace a dangerous delusion, one that will ultimately lead to the impoverishment of our culture and the stagnation of our collective potential. Nowhere is the corrosive impact of false equality more evident than in the hallowed halls of academia. Once bastions of intellectual rigor and the pursuit of excellence, many educational institutions have succumbed to the siren song of leveling the playing field. But this leveling, more often than not, takes the form of lowering standards rather than raising them. In the name of inclusivity, gifted students are neglected, their talents allowed to wither on the vine. Challenging material is watered down or discarded altogether, lest it bruise the egos of those who struggle to keep up. The pursuit of knowledge for its own sake is replaced with a focus on standardized tests and superficial measures of achievement. The result is a generation of students ill-equipped to grapple with the complexities of the world around them. They emerge from their years of education with a diploma in hand, but lacking the critical thinking skills, intellectual curiosity, and genuine love of learning that are the hallmarks of a truly educated mind. This is not an indictment of all educators, many of whom are deeply committed to their students and the pursuit of knowledge. But they often find themselves operating within a system that prioritizes conformity over creativity, mediocrity over excellence, and the appearance of progress over genuine intellectual growth. This is a system that we must challenge if we are to preserve the true purpose of education, to cultivate the minds of the next generation and equip them to become thoughtful, engaged, and discerning citizens. The relentless pursuit of false equality gives rise to a tyranny far more insidious than any dictator could impose, the tyranny of the lowest common denominator. In this distorted vision of democracy, the lowest rung on the ladder of achievement becomes the benchmark against which all else is measured. Excellence, rather than being celebrated and emulated, is met with suspicion, resentment, and even outright hostility. This phenomenon is readily apparent in the realm of art and literature. The classics, those timeless works that have stood the test of time and continue to resonate with audiences across generations, are often dismissed as elitist or inaccessible. In their place, we are offered a steady diet of simplistic narratives, banal platitudes, and art devoid of beauty or meaning. This is not to say that there is no place for popular entertainment or art that is easily accessible, but when we elevate mediocrity to the level of greatness, we do a disservice to ourselves and to the artists who strive to create works of enduring value. We create a culture that is increasingly incapable of appreciating subtlety, nuance, or the transformative power of true artistic expression. The tyranny of the lowest common denominator extends far beyond the realms of art and education. It seeps into every aspect of our lives, shaping our values, our expectations, and ultimately our very conception of what it means to be human. It is a slow, insidious poison that weakens our spirits, dulls our minds, and leaves us vulnerable to manipulation by those who would exploit our baser instincts. Section 5. The erosion of excellence. The pursuit of false equality, with its emphasis on conformity and the suppression of individual excellence, inevitably leads to a decline in the overall quality of society. When we cease to value and cultivate the talents of the exceptional among us, we deprive ourselves of the very individuals who drive progress, innovation, and cultural enrichment. Consider the field of science, where breakthroughs and discoveries often emerge from the work of brilliant, often eccentric individuals who dare to challenge conventional wisdom. When we create an environment where such individuals are stifled or discouraged, we hinder the advancement of knowledge and limit our own potential as a species. The same principle applies in every field of human endeavor. Whether in the arts, business, politics, or any other sphere of life, it is the exceptional individuals, the ones who dare to dream big and challenge the status quo, who drive us forward. When we create a culture that is hostile to excellence, we sow the seeds of our own decline. This is not to say that we should abandon our commitment to equality, but we must be careful to distinguish between true equality, which focuses on ensuring equal opportunities for all, and false equality, which seeks to impose a stifling uniformity and suppress the very qualities that make us human: our individuality, our creativity, and our capacity for greatness. Section 6. The illusion of empowerment. The word democracy is often used as a tool to create the illusion of empowerment, particularly among those who are most vulnerable to manipulation. By constantly invoking the idea that the people are in control, those in positions of power can deflect scrutiny from their own actions and create a sense of complacency among the masses. This tactic is particularly effective in the digital age, where social media platforms and other online forums give the appearance of greater democratic participation. However, these platforms are often carefully curated to promote certain narratives and suppress dissenting voices. The result is an echo chamber where individuals are bombarded with information that confirms their existing biases, leading to further polarization and a decline in critical thinking. The illusion of empowerment is further reinforced by the constant barrage of polls, surveys, and other forms of public opinion research. While these tools can be useful for gauging public sentiment on certain issues, they are often used to create the impression that the majority opinion is always correct, and that any dissenting views are somehow illegitimate. This can lead to a tyranny of the majority, where individuals are pressured to conform to the prevailing views, even if they hold reservations, or believe that the majority is wrong. True empowerment comes not from the illusion of control, but from the ability to think critically, to question authority, and to engage in meaningful dialogue with those who hold different views. It requires a willingness to challenge our own assumptions, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to stand up for what we believe in, even when it is unpopular. Section 7, From Cradle to Conformity. The insidious effects of false equality and the suppression of excellence are often most apparent in the way we raise and educate our children. From a young age, children are bombarded with messages that emphasize the importance of fitting in, being nice, and avoiding anything that might make them stand out from the crowd. Competition, once considered a healthy aspect of childhood development, is now often discouraged or even demonized. Children are taught to value cooperation and teamwork above all else, even if it means suppressing their own individual talents or aspirations. This can lead to a generation of children who are risk-averse, lacking in initiative, and ill-equipped to navigate the challenges of adulthood. The emphasis on conformity extends to the classroom, where standardized testing and a one-size-fits-all approach to education often stifle creativity and discourage independent thought. Children who learn differently or who excel in areas not measured by standardized tests are often overlooked or even labeled as problematic. The result is a generation of young people who are ill-prepared to think critically, to challenge the status quo, or to embrace the values of individual excellence that are essential for a thriving democracy. They emerge from their years of schooling with a diploma in hand, but lacking the intellectual curiosity, the resilience, and the independent spirit that are essential for success in life. Section 8, Safeguarding True Democracy. The preservation of true democracy requires constant vigilance against those who would exploit its ideals for their own ends. We must be wary of those who use the language of equality to justify mediocrity, who preach tolerance while silencing dissenting voices, and who claim to speak for the people while serving their own interests. One of the most effective ways to safeguard democracy is to promote a culture of critical thinking and reasoned debate. This means teaching our children to question authority, to evaluate evidence carefully, and to form their own opinions based on facts and logic rather than emotion or peer pressure. We must also be willing to defend the free exchange of ideas, even when those ideas are unpopular or offensive. A society that silences dissenting voices is a society that is ripe for tyranny. We must be willing to engage with those who hold different views, to listen to their perspectives, and to challenge their ideas respectfully but firmly. Finally, we must be wary of the seductive appeal of simplistic solutions to complex problems. The challenges facing our society are multifaceted and require nuanced solutions. We must be skeptical of those who offer easy answers, who promise to restore greatness overnight, or who claim to have all the solutions. True progress requires patience, perseverance, and a willingness to engage in the hard work of finding common ground and building a better future for all. Section 9, A Call to Intellectual Courage. In an age of increasing conformity and the relentless pursuit of false equality, it is more important than ever to cultivate intellectual courage. This means having the courage to think for ourselves, to challenge the status quo, and to stand up for what we believe in, even when it is unpopular. It means resisting the temptation to retreat into echo chambers, where our own biases are confirmed and our views are never challenged. It means engaging with those who hold different perspectives, listening to their arguments, and being willing to change our minds when presented with compelling evidence. Intellectual courage also means being willing to stand up for excellence, even when it is met with envy, resentment, or accusations of elitism. We must remember that true equality is not about dragging everyone down to the lowest common denominator, but about creating a society where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. The future of democracy depends on our willingness to embrace these values. Critical thinking, reasoned debate, the free exchange of ideas, and the courage to stand up for what we believe in. These are the pillars upon which a free and just society is built, and they are the values that we must defend if we are to preserve our freedoms for generations to come.